Hello again, Bill Jones with recapturefederalism.com, recapturefederalism.com on the net. I'm a website talking about communism again. We always talk about communism because nobody else is talking about communism. Main Street media, pro-communist media, propaganda, communist propaganda, Democratic Party, all communist, part of the communist criminal class. Well, I'm going to start my presentation as I usually do. I, William R. Jones, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. So help me God. I first took that oath in July 1965 when I joined the United States Navy. The enemy then was communism, as the enemy is now communism. As a reminder, I gave notice of treason January 25th, 2016. Got no response, 7 people. September 3rd, I filed a complaint with the Special Agent in Charge Chicago office, FBI, and the Division of Internal Investigation, DII, Illinois State Police. Still haven't heard anything from anyone. Very, very disturbing. Very disturbing. These people are committing treason also. Along with the 7 people, Mr. Comey is one of them. Seditious conspiracy. Seditious conspiracy. They're all involved in seditious conspiracy because their failure, they're hindering the enforcement of laws. Which brings me from the Declaration of Independence. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which defined a tyrant is unfit to be ruler of free people. And that's the Democratic Party. One of those things that I included in the notice of treason, 91 pages I sent to the 7 people, was from the Augsburg Confession, Article 16 of Civil Affairs. And if I read from them, of civil affairs they teach that lawful ordinances are good works of God, and that it is a right for Christians to bear civil office, to sit as judges, to judge matters by imperial and other existing laws, to award just punishments, to engage in just wars, to serve as soldiers, to make legal contracts, to hold property, to make oath when required by magistrates, to marry a wife, to be given in marriage. And then paragraph 4. They condemn also those who do not place evangelical perfection in the fear of God and in faith, but in forsaking civil office. For the gospel teaches that eternal righteousness of the heart. Meanwhile, it does not destroy the state or the family, but very much requires that they be preserved as ordinances of God, and that charity be practiced in such ordinances. Therefore, Christians are necessarily bound to obey their own magistrates and laws, save only when commanded to sin, for then they ought to obey God rather than men. And that's what we have from the Democrats. They're commanding the sin. They're commanding the sin. Their public policy is based upon the 7 evil sins, the 7 deadly sins. That's what I'm going to talk about today, the 7 deadly sins. First is lust, fornication, perversion, obsessive, unlawful, depraved thought, or unnatural desire for sexual excitement, such as desiring sex with a person outside of marriage or engaging in unnatural sexual appetites. Rape and sodomy are considered extreme lust and are said to be mortal sins. Same-sex marriage, isn't it? Two men. Sodomy. Isn't that when you're authorizing sodomy? And when I just read about civil affairs, say when you're commanded to sin. Same-sex marriage, you're commanding to sin. Commanding to sin. Gluttony, thoughtful waste of everything, overindulgent, misplaced sensuality, uncleanliness, maliciously depriving others, marked by refusal to share an unreasonable consumption more than necessary, especially food or water. And what do we have from the communists? Their main demand is elimination of private property. And what do we see in the civil affairs? In the Augsburg Convention, the property rights from God. Greed, treachery, a strong desire to gain, especially in money or power, disloyalty, deliberate betrayal or treason, especially for personal gain or when compensated, scavenging and hoarding of materials and objects, theft and robbery by violence. That's greed. Disloyalty, deliberate betrayal, or treason. Greed. And what do you have? Greed. Look at Hillary Clinton. The Clinton Global Initiative. Millions and millions and millions of dollars going in their pockets. Play for pay. All the money that they're getting from Wall Street, banks, to run an election. Voter fraud, we talked about that. Voter fraud in England in the 18th century. Two gentlemen, rich people, spending all the money they could to win. Sloth is the next one. Apathy, idleness, wasteful of time, laziness, in particular condemned because most other works harder to make up for them. Cowardice and irresponsibility, abandonment, especially of God. And that's what we have, communism. Abandonment of God. Separation of church and state, big demand in 1848 in Europe. Germany, by the communists. They want the religion to disappear. I'm going to read that in a little bit. Wrath, inappropriate, unrighteous feelings of hatred and anger, denial of truth and others, of self, impatience or revenge outside of justice, wishing to do evil or harm to others. And that's what you have in the black community, isn't it? A tear down of the civil authorities. Hatred. I saw hatred 50 years ago. Coming back from Vietnam, called them baby killers. Police were called pigs. They're still called pigs. Military still called baby killers. The feelings are there. Envy. Next, jealousy, malice, grieving, spite, and resentment of material objects, accomplishments or character traits of others, or wishing others to fail, to come to harm. Boy, that's the Democrats, ain't it? Oh, that's the Democrats. Envy is the root of theft and self-loathing. Pride, and pride is the deadliest of all sins, vanity and narcissism. boy, that's the president, Democratic leadership, Hillary, narcissism. Desire to be more important or attractive to others, failing to give credit due to others, or excessive love of self, especially holding self out of proper position toward God. And what do we have? We have gay pride. Gay pride. That's a combination of pride and lust. Pride and lust together. And that's what you have with Democrats. Public policy based upon the 7 deadly sins. And I go back to page 26 of the Communist Manifesto. There are besides eternal truths such as freedom, justice, etc., that are common to all states of society. But communism abolishes eternal truth. It abolishes all religion and all morality. And I'll just leave it there. But communism abolishes eternal truth. It abolishes all religion and all morality. And George Washington, in the farewell address, 1796, said you can't have morality without religion. And the communists in 1848, they abolished all of it. Religion and morality. Abolish eternal truths such as freedom and justice and liberty. They abolish it all. And how do they do that? Page 34 of the Communist Manifesto. Finally, they labor everywhere for the union and agreement of democratic parties. The union and the democratic parties combined. And that's where you have FDR, the Wagner Act, minimum wage, page 25 of the Communist Manifesto. The communists must, I'm further reading, the communists disdain to conceal their views and aims. They openly declare that their ends can be attained only by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Let the ruling classes tremble at the communistic revolution. That's terrorism. That the ruling classes tremble. That's the middle class in the United States. Communists are opposed to the middle class. They're opposed to the proletariat, the lower class also, because they want everything. They're greedy. Further reading, the proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Working men of all countries unite. And as I say, they united in 1886, Haymarket Square in Chicago, and killed 7 police officers. Yep. They target police, public officials, for assassination. And with that, good day.